Welcome to my channel,
I can't
Truth
believe
Turn
he's actually
Stories.
here.
Today I brought you a great story. What would
This
you
is
do if your
highly
fiancé's
inappropriate.
billionaire family offered you
Take
$50,000 to disappear?
and leave
Marcus
my daughter
Williams
alone.
smiled and said three words,
I'm not for
I'm not
sale."
for sale. They laughed at his cheap suit. They mocked his second-hand watch. They called him a gold digger who wasn't worthy of their daughter. But what they didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Marcus had a secret that would bring this entire family to their knees. And when he revealed it at the altar, silence. Complete silence. My grandmother always said God puts you in rooms where you look like you don't belong, just to show others what blessings look like. Marcus proved that. Never let anyone's opinion become your reality. Your value was set long before they met you. I hope you will enjoy the story. Let's start the video. The grand ballroom falls silent. 300 guests in designer gowns and tailored tuxedos freeze mid-conversation. Champagne glasses hang in the air. Smiles fade from painted lips. Every head turns toward the entrance where sunlight pours through the massive double doors, illuminating a single figure walking through. His name is Marcus Williams, a black man in a simple gray suit. No Rolex on his wrist, no luxury car keys jingling in his pocket, no entourage of wealthy friends following behind him. Just him. Just a man walking toward the altar, and before he even takes his second step, every eye in that ballroom judges him. They measure the fabric of his jacket. They notice his shoes are not Italian leather. They see no diamond cufflinks catching the light. In a room full of millionaires and billionaires, Marcus Williams stands out like a single star trying to shine in a room full of chandeliers. And those chandeliers seem to laugh at him, crystal and gold hanging from ceilings that cost more than most people make in a lifetime. But Marcus keeps walking. His steps are steady, his head is held high, his eyes are fixed on one thing only, the altar, the woman he loves. Margaret Harrington sits in the front row. She is the mother of the bride. Her dress costs more than some houses. Her jewelry could feed a village for a year, and her heart is as cold as the diamonds around her neck. She sets down her champagne glass with a sharp clink. The sound echoes through the silence like a judge's gavel. Her lip curls with disgust. Her eyes narrow with contempt. She leans toward her husband Richard and whispers just loud enough for those nearby to hear. Security was supposed to handle this. She says those words as if Marcus is not a man but a problem, as if he is not the groom but an intruder, as if he does not belong among these people who smell like old money and arrogance. Richard Harrington says nothing. He simply stares at Marcus with cold gray eyes, eyes that have dismissed many men before, eyes that see worth only in numbers and net worth. Eyes that look at Marcus Williams and see nothing but poverty and audacity. But Marcus keeps walking. Each step brings him closer to the altar. Each step brings him closer to Victoria, the woman who changed his life 18 months ago. The woman who saw something in him that her family refused to see. It happened at a community food drive on a Saturday morning. The sun was warm. The neighborhood was humble. Marcus was there organizing volunteers, checking supplies, making sure every family who came would leave with enough to eat. He wore a plain t-shirt and jeans. His hands were calloused from years of hard work. His smile was wide and genuine. Victoria Harrington walked in wearing simple clothes that day. No designer labels, no jewelry. She wanted to help. She wanted to give back. She was tired of her family's endless parties and empty conversations. She saw Marcus handing out boxes of food to elderly women. She saw him kneeling down to talk to children at their eye level. She saw him treat every single person with dignity and respect. And something in her heart shifted. She didn't know his bank account. She didn't care about his last name. She saw his heart before she ever saw his wallet. And that was enough. That was everything. Marcus fell for her laugh. It was light and free like wind chimes on a summer day. He fell for her kindness. She treated strangers like family. She treated the poor like royalty. He fell for her rebellion. The way she rolled her eyes when her family called. The way she refused to become the cold statue they wanted her to be. She was different, and he loved her for it. They started spending time together. Coffee shops became their sanctuary. Long walks became their therapy. Late-night phone calls became their lifeline. Marcus told her about growing up in the projects, about his grandmother who raised him alone, about the nights when there wasn't enough food, about the dreams he carried in his chest like sacred secrets. Victoria listened. She never judged. She never looked down on him. She looked at him like he was the richest man she had ever known. Because to her, he was, When Victoria finally brought Marcus home to the Harrington estate, everything changed. The mansion stretched toward the sky like a monument to wealth. Marble floors reflected their images like mirrors. Paintings worth millions hung on the walls like silent witnesses. And the Harrington family waited in the grand living room like a jury preparing a verdict. Richard Harrington stood tall with his arms crossed. He did not extend his hand. He did not offer a greeting. He simply looked Marcus up and down and found him wanting. Margaret Harrington studied Marcus's suit. She counted the threads in his jacket. She noticed the brand was not one she recognized from her luxury shopping trips. Her nose wrinkled as if she smelled something unpleasant. Christopher Harrington, Victoria's younger brother, laughed openly. Not a polite chuckle, a mocking laugh. A laugh that said you do not belong here. A laugh that said you are beneath us. A laugh that cut through the silence like a blade. Richard Harrington finally spoke. His voice was low and dangerous. "You're joking." He looked at his daughter with disbelief. "You want to marry him?" Those 3 words hung in the air like poison. Victoria's face flushed with anger and pain. But she did not back down. She did not apologize. She did not shrink. She stood firm beside Marcus and spoke clearly. "I love him." She said it like a declaration of war. She said it like a line drawn in the sand. She said it like nothing in this world could change her mind. But love did not matter to the Harringtons. It never had. Only legacy mattered. Only wealth mattered. Only appearances mattered. They measured life in stock portfolios and property deeds. They measured worth in zeros on bank statements. They measured people by their last names and their family trees. And Marcus Williams had none of the things they valued. They gave Victoria an ultimatum. The words came from Richard's mouth like a verdict. "Choose," he said, "the family fortune or the poor man, millions of dollars or a life of struggle, everything you have ever known or a future of uncertainty." It was not really a choice. It was a threat. It was a test. It was a cruel game designed to break her spirit. But Victoria Harrington surprised them all. She looked at her father. She looked at her mother. She looked at her mocking brother. And she chose Marcus. She chose love over money. She chose heart over heritage. She chose the man who made her feel alive over the family who made her feel empty. The Harringtons could not believe it. Their perfect daughter had betrayed them. Their precious heir had abandoned the throne. And for what? For a man with no fortune. For a man with no title. For a man who came from nothing. Now it is the wedding day. The Harringtons have come not to celebrate but to witness what they believe will be their daughter's greatest mistake. They sit in the front row with their arms crossed. Their faces wear expressions of smug satisfaction. They are waiting. Waiting for the moment when poverty catches up to love. Waiting for the moment when reality crushes the fairy tale. Waiting for Marcus Williams to fail in front of everyone they know. They believe they have already seen the ending of this story. They believe they already know how this will end. They believe that money always wins and love always loses. But they are wrong. They are so very wrong. Because they have no idea who Marcus Williams really is. They have no idea what he has built. They have no idea what he has sacrificed. They have no idea what is coming next. And when the truth finally comes out, when the revelation shakes this room to its foundation, the Harringtons will learn a lesson they will never forget. But for now, they sit and they wait and they judge. And Marcus Williams walks toward the altar with his head held high. The ceremony hasn't even begun, and the attacks start. The wedding coordinator rushes around with her clipboard, making final adjustments. Flowers are placed perfectly. Chairs are aligned like soldiers. The orchestra warms up in the corner with soft melodies. But beneath the beauty and elegance, something ugly is happening. Richard Harrington rises from his seat in the front row. He smooths his jacket. He adjusts his tie. And he walks toward the altar, where Marcus stands alone. His footsteps echo on the polished marble floor. Each step is measured. Each step is deliberate. Each step carries the weight of wealth and arrogance. Marcus sees him coming. He watches the older man approach with that familiar look of contempt. He braces himself for whatever is about to happen, but he does not flinch. He does not run. He stands his ground like a man who has faced harder things than rich people's disapproval. Richard stops inches from Marcus. Close enough that Marcus can smell his expensive cologne. Close enough that Marcus can see the coldness in his gray eyes. Close enough that no one else can hear what is about to be said. Richard's voice is low but sharp enough to cut through steel. There's still time to walk away. The words hang between them like a challenge. Marcus says nothing. He waits. Richard continues, his voice dripping with condescension. I'll write you a check. $50,000. Take it and disappear. Leave my daughter alone. Go back to wherever you came from. He says it like he's offering charity. He says it like Marcus should be grateful. He says it like $50,000 is more than a man like Marcus could ever hope to see in his lifetime. But Marcus meets his eyes calmly. There is no fear in his gaze. There is no desperation. There is only quiet strength. I'm not for sale, sir. The words come out steady and clear. Richard's jaw tightens. His hands clench into fists at his sides. He is not used to being refused. He is not used to people standing up to him. He is not used to men like Marcus looking him in the eye without blinking. You will be, Richard says through gritted teeth. Everyone has a price. Everyone breaks eventually. And when you do, when the struggle becomes too much, you'll wish you had taken my offer. Marcus does not respond. He simply holds Richard's gaze until the older man finally turns and walks away. But both of them know this is not over. This is just the beginning. Meanwhile, upstairs in the bridal suite, another battle is taking place. Victoria stands before a tall mirror in her wedding gown. White lace cascades down her body like a waterfall of dreams. Her hair is styled perfectly. Her makeup is flawless. She looks like a princess from a fairy tale. But her hands are shaking, not from excitement, from the weight of what she is about to face. Margaret Harrington enters the room without knocking. She closes the door behind her with a soft click that sounds like a trap snapping shut. She stands there for a moment, studying her daughter, taking in the dress that should have been chosen together, taking in the veil that should have belonged to a grandmother, taking in the moment that should have been filled with joy but is instead filled with tension. You're destroying this family. Margaret's words are like ice, cold and sharp and cutting. Victoria does not turn around. She continues adjusting her veil in the mirror. You're marrying a man who can't even afford your shoes. Margaret steps closer, her heels clicking on the floor. A man who has nothing to offer you. A man who will drag you down into poverty and misery. Victoria finally turns to face her mother. Her eyes are fierce. Her voice is steady. He built a community center with his bare hands, mother. He feeds families who have nothing. He gives everything he has to people who need it. What have you built? Besides walls? Margaret's face flushes with anger. She is not used to her daughter talking back. She is not used to being questioned. She is not used to losing. But before she can respond, the wedding coordinator knocks on the door. It's time. Victoria walks past her mother without another word. She has made her choice, and nothing will change it. Downstairs in the grand ballroom, the guests are settling into their seats. They whisper among themselves. They exchange knowing glances. They share opinions about the groom who stands alone at the altar. Christopher Harrington moves through the crowd like a shark swimming through water. He stops at every table. He shakes every hand. And he entertains his audience with jokes at Marcus's expense. Hope the reception is potluck style, he says with a laugh. That's all he can afford. Laughter ripples through the crowd. Guests cover their mouths and giggle behind their hands. Some shake their heads in mock sympathy. Others roll their eyes with amusement. Christopher continues his performance. I heard he proposed with a ring from a gumball machine. More laughter. I heard his suit is from a thrift store. More laughter. I heard he's only marrying her for the money. The laughter grows louder. It fills the ballroom like a storm. It echoes off the walls and the chandeliers and the marble floors, and Marcus hears every word. He stands near a window where sunlight streams across his face. Golden light falls on his simple gray suit. Tea illuminates the calm expression he wears like armor. He hears the whispers. He sees the sneers. He watches guests photograph his modest clothes with their expensive phones. He notices them pointing at his second-hand watch. He feels their assumptions pressing against him like a weight. They think he is here for money. They think he is here for status. They think he is here for a shortcut to success. They do not know him. They do not see him. They only see what they want to see. And what they want to see is someone beneath them. Someone to mock, someone to dismiss. Darnell walks up to Marcus and stands beside him. Darnell is Marcus's best friend since childhood, his only groomsman, the only person in this ballroom who truly knows Marcus's story. Darnell's jaw is tight with anger. His hands are clenched. He has heard the jokes. He has seen the disrespect. And it takes everything in him not to speak out. You don't have to take this, Mark, Darnell says quietly. We can leave right now. Forget these people. Forget this circus. Marcus exhales slowly. He watches the guests laughing and pointing. He watches Christopher performing for his audience. He watches Richard and Margaret sitting in the front row like judges waiting to deliver a guilty verdict. "They don't see me yet," Marcus says softly. "But they will." There is no anger in his voice. There is no bitterness. There is only patience. The patience of a man who has waited his whole life for this moment. The patience of a mim, and who knows exactly who he is and what he has built. The patience of a man who carries secrets that could shatter this room. The music changes. The orchestra begins to play the wedding march. Every head turns toward the back of the ballroom, and there she is. Victoria appears at the doorway in her gown, white lace and flowing fabric, a vision of beauty and grace. Sunlight surrounds her like a halo. She looks like an angel descending from heaven. Her eyes scan the crowd until they find Marcus at the altar. Their gazes lock. The rest of the room fades away. For a moment, it is just the two of them, two hearts beating as one, two souls connected across the distance. Victoria smiles through tears, happy tears, relieved tears, tears that say, "I'm here, I chose you, nothing else matters." Marcus smiles back. His heart swells with love and gratitude, and something that feels like victory. Whatever happens next, they face together. Victoria begins her walk down the aisle. The Harringtons smirk in their seats. They believe they have already won. They believe this marriage will crumble under the weight of reality. They believe poverty will destroy what love has built. But they are wrong. They are so very wrong. Because they do not know what Marcus Williams carries in his heart. They do not know what he has accomplished in silence. They do not know that the man they dismiss as worthless is worth more than all of them combined. The wedding begins. The vows are about to be spoken. And the greatest revelation any of them has ever witnessed is only moments away. The vows are exchanged. Simple words that carry the weight of forever. I promise to love you. I promise to honor you. I promise to stand beside you through everything life brings. Victoria speaks her vows with tears streaming down her cheeks. Her voice trembles with emotion but never wavers. Marcus speaks his vows with steady clarity. Every word is a promise carved in stone. Every sentence is a declaration of devotion. The rings are placed on fingers, gold bands that symbolize unending love. Circles that have no beginning and no end, just like their commitment to each other. The officiant smiles warmly at the couple. He looks out at the gathered guests. He takes a breath before speaking the words everyone is waiting to hear. "Before I pronounce you husband and wife," he says, "the groom has prepared a few words he would like to share." A murmur runs through the crowd. This is unusual. This is unexpected. The Harringtons shift uncomfortably in their seats. Richard frowns. Margaret clutches her pearls. Christopher rolls his eyes. They do not want to hear what Marcus has to say. They have heard enough from him already. They want this ceremony to end so they can return to their champagne and their gossip. But Marcus has other plans. He turns to face the crowd. 300 faces stare back at him, some curious, some annoyed, most dismissive. The crystal chandeliers cast light across the ballroom like scattered stars. The sunlight streams through the tall windows, bathing everything in gold, and Marcus Williams stands at the center of it all, ready to change everything. "You've all made assumptions about me today," Marcus begins. His voice is calm but carries to every corner of the room. "I've heard them. The whispers, the jokes, the laughter." He pauses. The ballroom falls absolutely silent. Not a single glass clinks. Not a single person moves. "You've called me the poor man, the opportunist, the mistake." His eyes move across the crowd, making contact with those who laughed loudest. "You've measured my worth by my suit and my watch and my neighborhood. You've decided who I am without knowing a single thing about my life." The tension in the room is thick enough to touch. Guests exchange nervous glances. Some look down at their hands. Others cannot look away from the man at the altar. "My name is Marcus Williams," he continues, "founder and CEO of Horizon Architecture." The first gasp comes from somewhere near the back of the room, then another, and another. Horizon Architecture, one of the most prestigious firms in the country, a company that has designed buildings that touch the sky, a company that has transformed cities and created landmarks. "The firm that designed the Harrington Corporate Tower," Marcus says, looking directly at Richard. Richard's face begins to drain of color. "The firm that designed this very hotel where we stand right now." Another wave of gasps, more murmurs. People begin pulling out phones to verify what they're hearing. the firm that has designed 37 landmarks across the East Coast. Hospitals, universities, museums, towers that will stand for centuries. The ballroom erupts in whispered chaos. Guests turn to each other with wide eyes. They cannot believe what they are hearing. This man in the simple gray suit, this man they mocked and dismissed, he is the Marcus Williams, the one whose name appears in architecture magazines and business journals, the one who has been called a visionary and a genius. But Marcus is not finished. His voice rises above the noise, commanding attention. I grew up in the East Side Projects, a neighborhood most of you have never seen and would never visit. Raised by a single grandmother who cleaned offices at night so I could study during the day, she scrubbed floors in buildings owned by people like you. She emptied trash cans and washed windows while I did my homework by candlelight. We couldn't always afford electricity, but she made sure we could always afford dreams. His voice catches for just a moment. The emotion is real, raw, unscripted. I built my company from nothing. No inheritance, no family connections, no investors who believed in me. Just work, just sacrifice, just refusing to give up when everyone said I would fail. Margaret's hand moves slowly to cover her mouth. Her eyes are wide with shock. Christopher stares at the floor, unable to meet anyone's gaze. The guests who laughed at Marcus's suit now sit in stunned silence, but the biggest revelation is still coming. Marcus turns to look directly at Richard Harrington. The older man sits frozen in his seat. His face is pale. His hands grip the armrests of his chair. He senses what is coming but cannot believe it is true. Last year, Marcus says slowly, your company almost went bankrupt. Harrington Industries was days away from collapse. Decades of legacy about to crumble. Thousands of employees about to lose their jobs. Your family name about to become a symbol of failure. Richard's breathing becomes shallow. He remembers those dark days, the sleepless nights, the desperate phone calls, the prayers for a miracle. You were bailed out by an anonymous investor, Marcus continues. Someone who purchased 40% of Harrington Industries. Someone who saved your comp. Without ever asking for credit. Without ever revealing their identity. Without ever demanding gratitude. The room holds its collective breath. Every eye moves between Marcus and Richard. The connection is becoming clear. The truth is rising like a tide that cannot be held back. That investor, Marcus says, his voice steady as stone, was me. Silence crashes over the ballroom like a wave breaking on rocks. Complete. Absolute. Silence. Richard's face loses all remaining color. He looks like a man who has just seen a ghost. Because in a way, he has. The ghost of his own prejudice. The ghost of his own cruelty. The ghost of every assumption he made about the man standing before him. Margaret begins to weep. Not delicate tears. Real sobs that shake her shoulders. Christopher cannot look up. His head hangs low. His jokes seem pathetic now. His mockery echoes back as shame. Marcus takes a breath before continuing. I never told Victoria. I never told anyone. Because I wanted to be loved for who I am. Not what I own. I wanted someone to see me. Really see me. Not my bank account. Not my company. Not my portfolio. Just me. He turns to face Victoria. Her hands are pressed against her heart. Tears stream down her beautiful face. But she is smiling. Smiling with wonder and pride and overwhelming love. You saw me when I was invisible, Marcus says to her. His own eyes glisten with tears. You saw my heart when others only saw my circumstances. You chose me when your family... We told you to walk away. You loved me before you knew any of this. He takes her hands in his. That's why I'm yours. Forever. Completely. Yours. Victoria sobs openly now, happy tears, grateful tears, tears of a woman who knows she made the right choice. She throws her arms around Marcus and holds him tight. The guests begin to applaud, slowly at first, then louder, then thunderous. Some stand from their seats, some wipe tears from their eyes. The room that judged Marcus Williams now celebrates him. The man they dismissed as worthless has proven himself priceless. And the Harringtons? They sit frozen in shame. Everything they believed has been shattered. Every assumption they made has crumbled. The poor man they tried to chase away is the very reason they still have a company, the very reason they still have a legacy, the very reason their name still means anything at all. The officiant clears his throat, smiling broadly. I now pronounce you husband and wife, but the ceremony feels secondary now. What happened here today will be remembered long after the wedding ends. What happened here today will change everyone who witnessed it. Marcus Williams didn't just marry the woman he loves. He revealed a truth that will echo through this family for generations. The truth about prejudice, the truth about assumption, the truth about the danger of measuring people by their appearance instead of their character. The reception unfolds differently than anyone expected. Tables are arranged throughout the ballroom in perfect circles. White tablecloths gleam under chandelier light. Centerpieces of flowers add splashes of color. Waiters move gracefully between guests, offering champagne and hors d'oeuvres. But the atmosphere has shifted completely. The mockery that filled the air before the ceremony has been replaced by something else entirely. Humility, wonder, shame, and slowly gratitude. Guests who laughed at Marcus now approach him with extended hands and genuine apologies. Women who photographed his modest suit now pose for pictures beside him with admiration. Men who dismissed him now ask about his business with respect in their voices. The transformation is remarkable to witness. But the greatest transformation is yet to come. Richard Harrington remains seated at the family table. He has barely moved since the revelation. His champagne sits untouched. His food grows cold. He stares at the tablecloth as if the answers to every question in his heart might be written there. His wife Margaret sits beside him, dabbing at her eyes with a silk handkerchief. She has stopped crying, but the evidence remains. Smeared makeup, red eyes, a face carved with regret. Christopher sits slumped in his chair, unable to look anyone in the eye. The confident jokester from earlier has vanished completely. In his place sits a young man confronting his own cruelty. The music softens. Conversation dies down, and Richard Harrington does something he hasn't done in decades. He stands. His legs feel unsteady beneath him. His hands tremble slightly at his sides. His heart pounds in his chest like a drum beating a rhythm of shame. He clears his throat. Once, twice. The room notices him rising. Guests turn their attention to the father of the bride. They wonder what he will say. They wonder if he will try to save face. They wonder if pride will keep him silent. But Richard Harrington surprises everyone, including himself. I was wrong. Those 3 words fall from his lips like stones dropping into still water. Ripples of shock spread across the room. Richard Harrington admitting fault? Richard Harrington apologizing? The man who built an empire on never backing down? His voice cracks as he continues. I measured worth in dollars, in last names, in zip codes. I looked at a man and saw only what he didn't have instead of who he was. He pauses to compose himself. 70 years of pride war with this new, unfamiliar feeling of humility. I almost cost my daughter the greatest man she'll ever know. I almost destroyed her happiness because I couldn't see past my own arrogance. He turns to face Marcus directly. The groom stands with his arm around Victoria. His expression is unreadable. Patient, waiting. Richard walks toward him. Each step feels heavier than the last. Each step carries the weight of every cruel word, every dismissive glance, every attempt to drive this man away. He stops in front of Marcus, father-in-law and son-in-law, billionaire and self-made millionaire, 2 men from opposite worlds meeting in the middle. You saved my company, Richard says, his voice barely above a whisper. You saved thousands of jobs. You saved my family's legacy. And you did it without ever asking for anything in return. He swallows hard. But more than that. You stayed gracious when I gave you every reason to hate me. You stood tall when I tried to make you feel small. You showed more class and character than I've shown in 70 years of living. His hand extends toward Marcus. It trembles in the air, an offering, an olive branch, a bridge between worlds. I'm sorry, I was blind. I was cruel. And I'm asking for your forgiveness. The ballroom holds its breath. This moment feels sacred, historical, like something that will be told and retold for generations. Marcus looks at the extended hand. He looks at the proud man who has humbled himself before hundreds of witnesses. He thinks of all the insults, the $50,000 offer to disappear, the assumption that he could be bought, the jokes, the sneers, the judgment. He could refuse. He could make Richard suffer a little longer. He could hold this grudge as a weapon. Many would understand. Most would say Richard deserves it. But Marcus Williams is not most people. He takes Richard's hand and shakes it firmly. Forgiveness isn't about deserving, Marcus says softly. It's about choosing peace over pride. The room exhales. Applause begins again. Not the thunderous celebration from before, something quieter, something more meaningful. Applause for grace, for mercy, For a man who refuses to become bitter despite having every reason to be. Margaret rises from her seat and approaches Marcus. Mascara streaks her cheeks. Her designer dress suddenly seems less impressive than her humanity in this moment. I judged you, she says, her voice broken. I counted threads on your jacket when I should have counted the blessings in your heart. Please forgive me. Marcus nods gently. There's nothing to hold on to, Mrs. Harrington. Only forward matters now. Christopher approaches last. His steps are hesitant, shameful. He cannot meet Marcus's eyes at first. I don't deserve your forgiveness, man. His voice is thick with emotion. The things I said, the jokes I made, I was horrible, and I'm asking anyway, even though I have no right to ask. Marcus places a hand on Christopher's shoulder, then I give it anyway. That's how grace works. It goes where it's needed, not where it's earned. The sun begins to set outside the grand windows. Golden light pours into the ballroom like liquid honey. It touches everything, the flowers, the chandeliers, the faces of guests who have witnessed something profound. It falls on Marcus and Victoria as they move to the center of the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife. The orchestra plays a slow melody, sweet and tender and full of hope. Marcus takes Victoria in his arms. She rests her head against his chest. They sway together in the dying light of day. Guests wipe tears from their eyes. Some hold their partners closer. Some make silent promises to be better, to judge less, to love more. The Harringtons watch their daughter glow in the arms of the man they once rejected, and they finally see what she saw all along, a man of honor, a man of dignity, a man whose worth cannot be measured in dollars because it is written in character. Victoria looks up at Marcus. You never told me, she whispers, about saving my father's company, about everything you built. Marcus smiles down at her. I wanted you to love me for nothing, because that's when love is real, when it comes with no conditions, no expectations, just hearts choosing each other. She kisses him softly. I would have loved you if you had nothing. I will love you forever now that I know everything. The moral of this story is written not in words but in actions. Wealth can buy mansions, but it cannot buy character. Status can open doors, but it cannot reveal hearts. Titles can demand respect, but they cannot earn trust. The man you dismiss today may be the one holding your future tomorrow. The person you look down upon may be looking up at heights you cannot imagine. Never measure a soul by the shoes they wear. Measure them by how they treat you when they have every reason to walk away. Measure them by who they are when no one is watching. Measure them by the content of their character, not the contents of their wallet. Marcus Williams walked into that ballroom invisible, judged by 300 pairs of eyes that saw only what they wanted to see. He walked in labeled as an opportunist, a gold digger, a mistake. He walked in as the poor man who dared to love above his station. But when the truth was revealed, when the masks were stripped away, when the light of honesty filled that room, everything changed. Marcus Williams walked out unforgettable, not because of his money, not because of his buildings, not because he saved the Harrington Empire, but because he showed the world what grace looks like. He showed the world what dignity feels like. He showed the world that a man's true worth is measured by his heart, not his wallet. And the Harringtons? They learned a lesson that day they will never forget. They learned that the greatest treasures are often wrapped in simple packages. They learned that the most valuable people are often invisible to eyes blinded by prejudice. They learned that their daughter was wiser than all of them combined, because she chose love, and love always wins.